This is Leeds Trinity University.
Hello and welcome to the Yorkshire Voice Newscast programme at 1:15. I'm Erin Carney.
And I'm Charlie Bergman. Coming up in today's programme, we'll be discussing rising ambulance waiting times, lockdown parties, drones and more.
But first, yesterday marked the 37th anniversary of the Valley Parade fire, where 56 football fans sadly lost their lives.
I went to the memorial service yesterday, where I was honoured to speak to so many amazing people, including family members of some of the people who died. Here's what happened on the day.
It brings it all back, even 37 years later. You can still picture it, but it brings it back in a good way because it just makes you remember exactly what did happen and what could still happen if things hadn't changed afterwards. So, yeah, it's an emotional day.
That was the family member of one of the 56 people who sadly lost their lives at the Valley Parade fire on this day 37 years ago. Today, I'm at Centenary Square, where a memorial is taking place to remember all those that were affected by the tragic accident that changed Bradford forever.
No one's bothered who you are or what you are when you come to something like this. You're all there for the same thing. And it just brings everyone together. It's sad that something like that has to, but it does. It brings everyone together.
There are hundreds of people here, all in their Bantams colours, ready to pay their respects to those that lost their lives, as well as to nearly 300 others who were injured in the fire on that day. The ceremony started with the City Hall clock bells playing Abide With Me and You'll Never Walk Alone. We were welcomed by Canon Paul Maybury from the Bradford Cathedral, and we heard words from the Lord Mayor of Bradford, Councillor Shabir Hussain.
This is, of course, one of the most significant dates in the life of the city, and it's very moving and very special to share the morning together in this way.
A bucket collection has been taking place at the memorial service, with all proceeds going to the Plastic Surgery and Burns Research Unit, which was started in the wake of the fire. Bradford City Chaplain Oliver Evans told me about the positive changes that have happened since the fire, including the world-renowned Bradford Sling.
There's always good that comes out of bad, but obviously you'd never want that to happen. But the reality is there's always something positive and something good that comes out of disaster.
How does it feel for you to be able to be back here after not being able to do it in person?
Yeah, it feels really moving. It's great just to see so many people from our city come out today to support the event. And there's still a shared grief about what happened. And obviously with each passing year, it becomes further away in people's minds, but not for the people that were there and not for the families that were impacted. And it's great to see this event is still in people's hearts.
The ceremony included hymns, prayers and music, and all of the crowd came together with such a strong community feeling, where people were brought to tears watching the loved ones and family members of those who lost their lives lay down wreaths and flowers to remember all those that were there on that tragic day in 1985.
Wow, that was really moving. It must have been a really emotional day yesterday, Charlie.
Yeah, it was. I actually got brought to tears watching it. And the fact that it was 37 years ago, but it's obviously still so prominent in all of their lives, I think was really difficult. But as much as it was such an emotional day, it was in a strange way, quite an uplifting way, because everyone came together and you really did feel like such a strong community spirit amongst everyone.
Well, speaking of community spirit, many families have had to be taken in after having to flee from conflict happening within Ukraine to find safety elsewhere.
One family luckily have made their way to the UK safely away from the war, and they're currently living with their UK hosts in Scarborough, who've embraced them right into their own family. Our reporter Georgia Collins has more on this story.
You wanted to do something to help, but you felt completely as though there was nothing you could do.
Since the beginning of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, so many families have had to flee from their homes and uproot their whole lives just to be safe and away from the front lines. I managed to get in contact with a family who have recently made it to the UK and are currently living with another family in Scarborough who have taken them in.
We have spent it here only 7 days for today, and it's very brilliant country for me. It's a very special country for me because I am fond of literature of UK.
Irina is an English teacher And when she was still in Ukraine, she was having to teach her students online via Zoom meetings, all whilst the fighting was still going on. Irina told me that sometimes she would be teaching and the sirens would go off, so all the children and herself would have to take cover in the shelters until it was safe. Thankfully, Irina and her family have left that horror behind. Since being in England, they have started to adapt to life here. I met with Jeff Gibson, one of the English family hosts, and he told me that the two families have dinner together every night and have started to bond and connect after the uncertainty of leaving the safety and comfort of their own home.
We had a sort of games night last night thing, so we're gradually getting used to being with each other, and they're very, very thankful, obviously appreciative of everything that's happened, but they're really, really nice people. So it's been nothing but a positive experience from our point of view as a family hosting them, and I hope from their point of view. It's just been really nice to feel that you can do something, and they are here because they had to be here to get out, and they all want to go back.
Powerful stuff, that. And now on to one of our top stories today. People in Yorkshire could be waiting even longer for ambulances, as a new study has found that rising ambulance waiting times could have a dangerous impact on patient safety.
So doctors and paramedics have raised these concerns and have also said that 999 dispatchers across the UK are under tremendous pressure.
We went out and heard from people in Bradford about how long they've had to wait for an ambulance.
I've phoned an ambulance for years.
No, I am.
I've phoned one for years and years.
About an hour or two before.
I haven't needed one for a long time, thank goodness. But about 20 minutes, I think, was the last time.
And keeping with the NHS, today is International Nursing Day, and the head of nursing and healthcare at the University of Bradford has called for greater diversity in nursing, including more male nurses.
So yes, nursing is one of the most gender-segregated jobs in the UK. According to the latest figures from the Nursing and Midwifery Council, out of all the registered nurses in the UK, just over 11% are men.
Earlier today, we spoke to West Yorkshire-based male nurse Keishan Mehta. He told us that more needs to be done to make the nursing workforce diverse and remove the stigma around male nurses.
I think there's been lots of initiatives to increase the diversity, bring more people from obeying backgrounds into nursing, to bring males into nursing. And there's definitely stuff being done, but I think they can only do so much. I think it needs to come more from society and more from people in general taking that step. For example, I think, like you just said earlier, I think a lot of it does come from toxic masculinity, that sort of stuff. And you'll often find that male patients will often feel more comfortable opening up about mental health and all that sort of stuff when speaking to a male nurse. Sometimes they'll feel sort of masculine to be talking to a female nurse and saying they have all these problems. They sort of feel like they have to be strong and asking for help is a sign of weakness, which is obviously not true, but unfortunately people need to have somebody that they can sort of feel like they can confide in, and having more male nurses will do that. And also I think we all need to increase the amount of male nurses now, because then that gives younger kids something to look up to, because I don't think male nurses are often represented in media or anything else as well. So I think we all need to do a little bit more.
It's such a shame, isn't it, that there's so much stigma that lies around males in nursing.
I know, and I just don't get it. When my grandpa was in hospital during the pandemic, and I think because of that, we all kind of relied on the nurses even more because we couldn't get there. And he had loads of male nurses, and it made no difference. The care that he got was exactly the same across the board.
Oh, that's so great to hear. I mean, the work they do, it really is amazing, and I do hope that more is done to break the stigma down moving forward.
This is Leeds Trinity University.
So another 50 fines have been handed out over lockdown parties in Westminster. Boris Johnson, he has already received a penalty, isn't among the new issued ones.
Police are continuing their investigation, but that makes it over 100 fines now in total across Whitehall, which is pretty scandalous, seeing as they're meant to be the ones leading the country.
It's so scandalous. It's ridiculous, really, isn't it?
I know, it's crazy. And for my dissertation, when I did my undergrad degree, I did it all about parties during COVID, and I saw all the figures about fixed penalty notices. And I think just seeing the statements and the kind of rhetoric that the government put out about it, how they were so harsh on the tiniest little gatherings, and then they've been doing it themselves the whole time. It is really hard to get your head around.
Do you know why I'm really upset? Because me and Boris Johnson shared the same birthday.
No.
And that birthday, it was like out of lockdown. I think we were out of lockdown, but we still couldn't do anything. I was sitting in a park in a circle, socially distanced with my friends. He's having a great time. Wine and cheese nights. Can believe it.
Honestly, it's ridiculous.
So from flying in the face of the law to flying drones, Royal Mail has announced its new plan to use drones as a way of delivering mail to remote communities across the UK.
So they're aiming to use up to 200 drones over the next 3 years, which they're then going to increase to more than 500 apparently. So what do you reckon, Erin? Do you think it's a good idea?
I don't really know. I don't have too many strong opinions about it. I just think it's really weird. Like, I'm just getting used to the Hoovers that move themselves.
I know. It's half like a Harry Potter like carrier pigeon vibe and half like a Black Mirror, too far into the future, robots are taking over.
It's a scary thought, but I guess if it becomes the norm, then it does. But I can't see it happening anytime soon.
No, nor me.
Well, from the future to the past, Charlie, back in there, would you say that you were particularly rebellious in your school days?
I wouldn't say I was massively badly behaved, a little bit cheeky sometimes, but I did bunk off school a couple of times.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, you would have been in trouble because as part of the school bill that was introduced in March, Education Minister Nadeem Zahawi has announced to Parliament that he wants his bill to be strict on school absenteeism. The bill will help give new guidance on how to fine parents of children that are playing truant. So your poor mum would have been broke by the sounds of it. And it will target severely absent pupils who will miss more than 50% of school days.
God, I actually would have been in trouble. The people of Bradford had this to say about their kids' Skype in school.
For me, it's really, really important for children to go to school. And some of the parents here I personally think why they would make their children skip school is the changes in education.
No, they shouldn't be missing school. They should be made to go to school, basically. It's the parents' responsibility, not the teachers.
I just think everything's too lenient on them now when they're not going to school. They should make, I think it comes down to the parents.
So I don't have too many stories, but do you have any stories about skipping school?
I used to, so you know McDonald's Monopoly?
Yes.
Me and my ex-boyfriend, we were like weirdly obsessed with it. So we used to bunk off school, like the lesson before lunch and then the lesson after lunch would miss. And we'd just drive off to McDonald's and just try and collect as many of the things as possible. We had like a full-on map and we were like, we are going to win whatever the prize is, like a car.
Did you ever win?
No, all I ever won really was an apple pie.
Oh, that's no good then.
This is Leeds Trinity University.
Now, Charlie, I know you're a fan of James Cromwell from his role in Succession.
Everyone who knows me knows all I talk about is Succession. I am obsessed with it. If you haven't watched it, you need to. He plays the uncle, so like Logan Roy's brother. He's incredible.
I do need to watch it. But yesterday, the Oscar-nominated actor glued himself to a countertop in Starbucks to protest their subcharge on vegan milk. Police said no arrests have been made. Any thoughts?
I mean, it's a bit cheeky when they charge for vegan milk, but that sounds pretty extreme.
I mean, it annoys me. So I only drink oat milk, really. Not vegan, no reason in particular. But I just prefer it now. And it does annoy me how they charge 50p extra. It makes my coffee addiction that much more expensive, which is really annoying.
I know. And I feel like veganism is becoming more and more popular. And there are so many different alternatives out there now. So it just feels a bit like behind the times for them to be charging extra when people are trying to make a step in like the right direction.
There's so many environmental benefits as well, especially like a company like Starbucks. You think you'd be wanting to do it. But I do know in some Starbucks now, they have removed that extra charge.
Oh, really?
I find it in service stations. Every time I'm driving up off the motorway, you don't have to pay.
Not in the ones near me.
I know it's not come near me yet. But maybe that means some changes happening, but quite a drastic and dramatic.
That is dramatic, but I guess if you want to make change, got to make a big statement. Now, bringing us some more entertainment news, we're joined by our entertainment correspondent, Mia.
So talking about drama, I'm assuming everyone has heard of the Agatha Christie.
Yeah, I am obsessed.
Yeah,
I cannot stop following the case. I think it should be shown on TVs in pubs around the country.
In pubs
it's
around,
amazing.
imagine. Pub
Instead of football nights, Agatha Christie nights.
Yes.
I think that would be much better. Well, if anyone isn't up to date with all the juicy details, no worries, because I can fill you in. It all started back in 2019 when Colleen Rooney took to Twitter with a dramatic post accusing fellow WAG and friend Rebecca Vardy of leaking posts from her private Instagram to the press. Colleen had grown suspicious after the Sun was consistently posting stories that she was only posting to her private Instagram stories and Instagram posts. And she slowly became quite suspicious of her friend Rebecca, and she started her own little investigation to prove she was right. She changed her story settings on her story so only Rebecca could see them, and started posting little fake stories on there to try and obviously draw her out. And it worked. So the dramatic post took to Twitter. She revealed her findings, and this is how she got herself the nickname Wagatha Christie. Rebecca shot back though, and she completely denied the allegations and said it was horrible for her to be accused, especially while she was so heavily pregnant. But the case is finally being brought to court this year, and this, obviously, as we've all seen, it's going on right now, and it's very, very interesting. But before I get to that, what would you guys do if you were in Colleen's shoes and found out your friend was being such a big snake?
I don't know. It's tricky. The thing is because Colleen's got such a big following.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna, if you put something like that out there, and it's not like she just put it out. It was the most dramatic post ever, wasn't it? .11 for.
But I just think the way she found out that, well, what she alleges as being Rebecca Vardy's account was so clever. I would never think to do that. She slowly started whistling down the people of her story. I thought it was great. I'm living for it.
Just think of all the drama it would cause if this is what happened in think of the secondary school drama.
Think that's so true.
You started your own secret Instagram and were just finding out which of your friends were going behind your back. Well, anyway, the case doesn't seem to be going the way Rebecca planned it to, because obviously the case was against Colleen for defamation and stuff. She has been accused of lying at the stand, willing to lie under oath by Colleen's lawyer, which is quite a big allegation, and leaking information through her manager. Rebecca's messages with her manager, Caroline Watt, have been used as evidence yesterday in court, and it was very interesting. The messages showed them talking about leaking stories about Danny Drinkwater, as well as Mr. X, who apparently fathered a love child with his mistress. Mr. X has remained unnamed, but she admitted that she did in fact want to leak the Drinkwater story, but only because she was motivated by her desire to expose the drink driver. She does deny wanting to leak the other stories. She claims they were just jokes and just a bit of gossip, and they should not be taken seriously. But I think, you wanted to leak a story about Danny Drinkwater, you're going to want to leak stories about who else you think you could get a bit of money from by leaking it to the Sun. So I don't think it's looking very good for her. But what do you guys think of it all? Because obviously a lot's still coming out now, and the case is going to still keep going. So
I'm obsessed with Mr. X. He sounds like a Bond villain.
I know.
Mr. X.
I think that the thing that's gonna get Colleen Rooney, if she gets off the hook for it all, is that she never actually said it's Rebecca Vardy.
I know.
She said
it's
Rebecca Vardy's
account,
which was clever there.
Very smart. Do you think she knew that going into it?
She
thought about.
I reckon
definitely.
she had spoken
court
to.
case.
Yeah.
Lawyers.
Yeah,
Maybe
I really do.
It'd be silly to
Before
not.
she said,
If you're
because she's
that
got
famous,
such a big following.
yeah, I feel like you'd think it all through.
It was a dramatic move, and I'm surprised
Very
lawyers
dramatic.
backed it. But maybe then, I don't know.
I really like Colleen Rooney now, though, because did you guys watch the Amazon documentary about Wayne Rooney?
I haven't yet, but
No,
you've told
not
me I
yet.
need
It's
to.
so good,
Yeah.
and it just made me see both of them in such a different light. Like, I feel like they all came across as like really lovely, warm people.
Quite biased to Rebecca Vardy. Maybe I'll take Rebecca's side and we can all. And that is all from us today. Thank you for joining us. If you've missed out on any of the show, you'll be able to download it from your favourite podcast provider.
And we'll be back tomorrow at 1:15 for, sadly, what will be our last ever Yorkshire Voice newscast.
Oh, goodbye.
Bye.
This is Leeds Trinity University.